so moist, mosquitoes are out. Bats love mosquitoes, but just how often are we testing or finding rabid bats? We dug into some numbers around town. Look at this. Lee Summit, they tested 35 bats this year, and as you know, 3 of them tested positive for rabies. Overland Park, Kansas, we checked in. They've only gone on 8 bat calls so far in 2014. They sent 2 for testing, but they only now go out on bat calls if they believe somebody has been bit. Across the state of Missouri, 219 bats were tested through June. 7 tested positive for rabies, including 2 in Jackson County, and 7 skunks also tested positive for rabies in Missouri, so watch out for the skunks too. Well, rabies can be deadly once symptoms appear, so if you get bit, wash the wound with soap and water and get to a doctor. We talked to a few pest control experts today who admit sometimes people don't want to pay for a rabies test if a company comes out. They really insist you've got to do it under a few specific conditions, like could the bat have been in the house while anybody was sleeping? Also, were any kids or elderly exposed, because sometimes they aren't able to tell you, even loss of feeling. So if that's the case, you got to get that test. Remember, if you have come home from vacation, though, and maybe you find one, the house has been empty for a while, then it's probably okay to skip that. All right, so now what do you do to keep the bats out of the house completely? The CDC lays out some really great tips. If you see any holes at least a 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch thick, you need to caulk those. Look at that. That's smaller than a dime. Let me hold up a dime for you. That's smaller than that. Also, fill electrical and plumbing holes with steel wool. Make sure your doors outside close tightly. Look, he's caulking these areas around this right now. This is a Kansas City home a few years back, and they needed to seal their house up. You have to do it, though, in the fall and winter. Otherwise, you might trap baby bats who will either die in there or try to get into your rooms. That's nothing anybody wants. Okay. What do you do if the bat's already inside your house? This actually happened, seriously, to one of our own employees here. Just when did this happen, Jason?
Yesterday. Came home at lunch and there was a bat in my living room.
And you brought your battle gear with us.
I did. I brought a couple props. So the first thing was finding something that I could throw away after I was done with it. But basically just got a little container to trap him up against the wall, slid a piece of cardboard behind him, took him outside. And then the most important thing is a pair of gloves.
Yes.
Because you don't want to touch the bat.
And you didn't come up with this on your own. You tried to call somebody to have them come out.
I did, and believe it or not, Mondays are a hard day to catch people for bats, but I did. I got a hold of somebody who does bats, and what he said was just take it outside, put it in a tree. We didn't have any problem. It wasn't flying around. It was just on the wall. It was asleep, so there wasn't too much worry there. But
and he was even kind of tired when you were trying to pick him up?
He didn't want to get in the plastic container. He kind of wanted to just hold on and continue sleeping.
He wasn't flying crazy around your house.
Wasn't flying crazy.
Like
and
that.
usually, my understanding, and I'm no expert, is if they're just standing there or sitting there asleep, they're probably not a problem. Just get them in a container and get them out of the house.
And you're fairly positive. I mean, you didn't get bit. Nobody got bit in your house.
As far as I know, no. So,
And he's right on. We checked online. This is exactly what you need. A container. You slip the cardboard over. You wear the gloves and you get out of there. Jason, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lizzie.